One of the most well-known electric vehicle brands, Tesla, has resigned from Australia's car lobby. The company wrote to the Federal Chamber of Automotive Industries saying it found the group's claims about proposed new vehicle emission standards to be demonstrably false. Tesla claims the Chamber is misrepresenting how standards work and potential impacts on vehicle prices. Joining me now is Electric Vehicle Council CEO Behyad Jafari. Thanks for your time. Wading into this debate, is it a bit of an unknown? We've got various proposals on the table. We've got manufacturers saying it's a short time frame. There will be some models that will be more expensive in Australia, won't there?
Well, what we know absolutely is anyone who knows how efficiency standards works knows that what these lobby groups were saying about price rises were completely false. These standards do not apply any penalty to any individual vehicle. These are standards that set a target to car companies in the entire fleet of vehicles that they sell. So if you meet your target, you pay zero penalties and there is no impact on prices or no impact on that car company at all. In fact, some of Australia's top selling car companies like Toyota go on to beat their targets in the USA, whose standards we're seeking to adopt, and sell credits back out to the market. So it was completely untrue of this lobby group to point out a few models of vehicles and say, well, this is how much these models will go up by. That's completely unknown. It's irresponsible for anyone to say that. And I think to take that a step further and for an industry association that has these members to say that is completely irresponsible.
Unknown, I think, probably is the key word around this. You mentioned the US. From my understanding, they've got a lot more carve-outs, for example, around some of the heavier vehicles. In Australia, we'll see, I guess, what the details are. But in that situation, you mentioned a manufacturer. If they keep all their prices the same and they're selling a lot of those higher emitting vehicles, they have to try to either pay a big fine, which it's unlikely to see them doing, or try to change behaviour, right, through changes in pricing. So that is how, theoretically, prices could go up for heavier emitting vehicles in Australia, isn't it?
Well, there are a lot of knowns because, of course, Australia is only one of two countries in the developed world not to have these standards. So we've got some 50 years of experience globally that tells us that that's exactly what car companies do. They make a wider range of cars available. They make their same vehicles, whether those are utes, SUVs, sedans, more efficient to run over time. They bring in hybrids, more electric vehicle options. And again, even today, even when these standards come in place in 2025, they will apply to the full range of vehicles that any one car company sells. So if they have more efficient vehicles as well as less efficient vehicles, the two will balance each other out. And as a result, they'll pay no penalties. And as I mentioned, for a lot of these car companies, they do exist in these overseas markets. They actually claim credits and are able to sell those to other brands.
Yeah, so as you allude to, it's the if and whether that's balanced. One of the big differences appears to be, though, in the US, those carve-outs for, in particular, so-called utes. I think they'd call them a pickup truck. Some of these, quite a few of them are used for work. Look, some are not. Some are for recreation. What should happen in Australia? Would a carve-out for a work car but not for a non-work car make sense? And if someone still wants to make the choice, and if that ends up being a bit more expensive for a big petrol guzzler, then that's the point of emissions?
So again, there's another bit of misinformation that we've seen from this same lobby group. It's not the case that the popular utes or pickup trucks in the US or SUVs are excluded from their standard. There are certain trucks like the Ford F250 or F350, for instance. Those are trucks that aren't available in the Australian market, where there they've said those are so large that we're going to count them as trucks and not utes. So not pickup trucks, but trucks. In Australia, we've looked at have the top 20 utes that we sell in the market. All of those would be, or at least 17 of those 20 would be counted in the US standard as well. So you look at things like the Toyota Hilux, the Ford Ranger, the Everest, all of those would be counted in the US standard too. We've got a standard that largely resembles theirs. There are some differences of some vehicles that exist in the US market that are exempt. They're not exempt in Australia, but they also don't exist in our market in the first place.
All right. Well, it's on in earnest, this debate. We're yet to know exactly how the government will enact it. Perhaps we'll talk after that point. Behyad Jafari, thanks for your time.
Thank you.